Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever bought something, felt good about it for like 5 minutes, and then completely forgot why you even wanted it in the first place? Not a big purchase, nothing dramatic. Just something random, something small, something that made sense in the moment. And then later you look at it and it's just there, taking up space. Mark and Jenna had one of those moments on a completely normal night. They weren't out shopping, they weren't planning to spend anything, just sitting on the couch, half paying attention to a show, scrolling on their phones like everyone does. And somewhere between boredom and habit, Jenna taps on an ad. It's something simple. A useful little gadget. Not expensive, actually kind of clever. It solves a problem she didn't even realize she had 5 minutes ago. So she buys it. 2 clicks. Done. It arrives a few days later, gets used once, maybe twice, and then quietly disappears into a drawer with a bunch of other things that had the exact same story. And the weird part is, this wasn't a mistake. It felt right when she did it. It felt justified. That's the part most people miss. Pointless purchases don't feel pointless when you're making them. They feel like good decisions in the moment. And that's because you're not just buying a product, you're responding to a feeling. There's this tiny rush that happens right before you hit buy. It's not even about owning the thing yet. It's the idea of it, the possibility, the version of your life where that item somehow makes things easier, better, more organized, more you. Your brain lights up before the package even ships. And then it arrives, you open it, and the feeling doesn't quite match what you expected. Not bad, just normal. The excitement fades faster than you thought it would, and suddenly the thing you were convinced you needed becomes just another object you own. That gap between expectation and reality is where a lot of these purchases live. But it goes deeper than that, because sometimes you're not even buying the product at all. You're buying who you think you'll be once you have it. Mark did this without realizing it. He ordered a set of workout bands after watching a couple of videos late at night. In his head, it wasn't just about the bands. It was about becoming consistent, getting in shape, finally sticking to a routine. The purchase felt like progress before anything actually changed. The bands showed up, got used for a few days, and then life went back to normal. The intention was real, the motivation was real, but the object itself didn't carry any of that forward. And that's the trap. The purchase feels like action, like you've taken a step, but in reality, nothing has actually moved yet. Then there's the other side of it, the I deserve this mindset. You have a long day, something annoying happens, you feel drained, and suddenly spending a little money feels justified. Not reckless, just earned. It's a small reward, a way to reset. And again, it makes sense in the moment. You're not thinking about the item itself, you're thinking about how it makes you feel right now. The problem is, that feeling doesn't last. So the next time you're stressed, tired, bored, the same pattern shows up again. And over time, those little moments stack in a way that's almost invisible. It's not one big mistake. It's 100 small ones that never felt like mistakes to begin with. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because it's not just happening in your head. The environment around you is built to trigger this exact behavior. The apps you scroll through, the ads you see, the way products are presented. It's all designed to lower resistance and make that decision feel effortless. You don't have to go looking for things to buy anymore. They find you. At the exact moment you're most likely to say yes. Late at night, when you're bored, when your guard is down, when you're not thinking too hard. And the easier it becomes to buy something, the less time your brain has to question it. There's no friction, no pause. Just a quick decision that feels harmless, until you zoom out and realize how often it's happening. And that's the part most people never really stop to think about. Not why they bought something expensive, but why they keep buying things that don't matter at all. Because once you start paying attention to that, things start to look very different. Because once you notice it, you start seeing the pattern everywhere, not just in your own habits, but in how everything around you is set up. You open an app for one reason, and 5 minutes later, you're looking at something you didn't even know existed 10 minutes ago. It's not random. It feels random, but it's not. What you see is tailored, timed, and delivered in a way that makes it feel like your idea. And that's where things get a little sneaky, because it doesn't feel like you're being sold to. It feels like you discovered something, like you found a good deal, like you almost got away with something. That's why discounts hit so hard. It's not just about paying less, It's about the feeling of winning. You see 40% off, and your brain stops asking, "Do I need this?" and starts thinking, "I'd be dumb to miss this." The entire decision flips. And once that switch happens, logic kind of takes a back seat. Mark had one of those moments scrolling through a sale on a tech site. He wasn't looking for anything, no intention to buy, but there it was, a deal that looked too good to ignore. Something he had vaguely considered months ago, now suddenly on sale for a limited time. The clock was ticking, the price was lower, it felt like the smart move. So he bought it. A week later, he couldn't even remember why it felt urgent. The discount didn't save him money, it just changed how he justified spending it. And this ties into something deeper. A lot of purchases aren't driven by need, they're driven by comparison. You see someone else with something, someone living a certain way, and without realizing it, your brain starts adjusting what feels normal, what feels expected. You're not trying to keep up, at least it doesn't feel like that. It's more subtle. You just start thinking, yeah, that would be nice to have. And once that thought settles in, it doesn't take much to turn it into a purchase. Jenna noticed this after following a few lifestyle accounts. Nothing extreme, just everyday content. Outfits, home setups, little routines that looked clean and put together. Over time, her idea of normal shifted. Things she never cared about before suddenly felt like they were missing. Not essential, just absent. And filling that gap felt like progress. So she'd buy something small, a decoration, a tool, something to match that image. And for a moment, it worked. The space felt better, more complete. But the feeling didn't stick, because the standard kept moving. That's the part that makes it endless. You're not chasing the item. You're chasing a moving target, a version of life that keeps updating every time you scroll. And the purchases become little attempts to catch up to it. Meanwhile, your space slowly fills up with things that made perfect sense at the time. Drawers that don't fully close anymore. Shelves with items you barely notice. Boxes tucked away with things you swore you'd use. And every now and then, you come across one of them and think, why did I even buy this? But you never remember the feeling that led to it. The boredom, the stress, the moment of curiosity, the small hit of excitement. That part fades, the object stays, and when you add it all up, it's not just about money anymore. It's about attention, about how easily it gets pulled, redirected, turned into action without you fully realizing it. Because none of this requires you to be careless. It just requires you to be human. And once you understand that, the question changes. It's not why do I waste money? It's what's actually influencing me when I spend it. And that's where things start to shift. Because the moment you see the pattern clearly, it stops feeling random. It starts feeling predictable. And predictable patterns can be broken. And once you get to that point, something small but important changes. There's a pause, just a second longer than before. You see the product, you feel that little pull, but now there's a voice in the background asking, wait, do I actually want this? Or do I just like how this feels right now? And that question alone is powerful. Because most pointless purchases don't survive even a few seconds of real thought. They rely on speed, on impulse, on you not interrupting the moment. Mark started doing this without even thinking about it. He'd leave things in his cart, come back later, and more often than not, the urge was gone. Same product, same price, completely different decision. Jenna did something similar. She noticed that the things she truly valued didn't need convincing. They didn't show up with urgency or pressure. They just made sense, even after the moment passed. And that's the difference. Real value holds up over time. Impulse fades fast. Once you see that clearly, you stop chasing every little spark of interest. You start choosing more intentionally, not perfectly, just more aware. And that awareness adds up. So next time something catches your attention, don't rush it. Let it sit for a second. Because the goal isn't to stop spending completely. It's to stop being pulled into decisions that were never really yours to begin with. If this made you look at your own habits a little differently, hit like, subscribe, and stick around. Because once you understand how your mind works with money, you stop letting it work against you.